JBNN keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones. Before we get into the news, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the news with someone today. Now on to the news. Bloody start to 2025 as Jamaica records 34 murders in 11 days. Jamaica's seen a bloody start to 2025 with 34 murders recorded in 11 days, according to the latest serious crime statistics published on Sunday by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF. This is 8 more murders than was recorded for the similar period last year. After the first 11 days in 2024, the country recorded 26 murders. Last year ended with 1,139 murders, or a 19% decline when compared to the previous year. For the first 4 days this year, January 1 to 4, the country recorded 5 murders. However, in the first full week, January 5 to 11, 29 murders were recorded. This has since prompted the JCF to impose 48-hour curfews in the entire Kingston Western, St. Andrew Central, St. Andrew South, and the St. Catherine South divisions. The latest crime data show that 14 of the 19 police divisions have recorded at least 1 murder since the start of the year. The divisions with the most homicides are St. Catherine South with 5, St. Andrew South 5, Kingston West 4, St. Andrew Central 4, and St. Mary 3. On January 8, 2025, the community of Central Village in St. Catherine South recorded a triple murder. It is reported that at about 9:45 p.m., gunmen armed with high-powered weapons invaded a home in McBride Hill and killed 3 men. The deceased were Matthew Smith and brothers, 22-year-old Jaheim J.J. Ferguson and Giovanni Gio Ferguson. Investigations are ongoing in that incident. The police divisions without a murder since the start of the year are Trelawney, Portland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Kingston Central. Shootings, injured persons, rapes, robberies, and break-ins are down year on year. Missing Manchester man found dead in tank. The police are probing a suspected case of drowning following the death of a man who was reported missing and whose body was found floating in a tank at the back of his house on Sunday, Newport, Manchester. The deceased has been identified as Delroy Spencer, 57, a resident of Meadsfield in Newport, Manchester. A police report on Saturday said relatives reported Spencer as missing and a search for him was launched. On Sunday at about 1:10 p.m., Spencer's body was found by relatives in the tank at the back of his house. The police were called to the scene and the body removed to the morgue for a post-mortem. Walkerswood community in mourning after 3 siblings perished in house fire. Grief has engulfed Walkerswood in St. Anne after 3 young siblings perished in a fire that completely destroyed their home in the early hours of Sunday morning. The police have identified the victims as sisters Tashani Mattis, 7, and Tashiwani Mattis, 4, and their brother Tavarna Mattis, 2, all of Cottage District in Walkerswood. Their bodies were found on a bed after the fire was put out. A 4th sibling, 5-year-old Tadane Mattis, who was asleep in another room with his grandmother, Robin Roach, escaped unhurt along with Roach. The police said the 4 children were left at home by their mother, 24-year-old Tanik Wilson, who had gone to visit her boyfriend elsewhere in the community. During the night, at about 2 a.m., Roach reportedly saw fire coming from the room occupied by the 3 children, raised an alarm, and exited the room she was in with the 4th child. While outside, an explosion was heard coming from the room where the children were. The house was engulfed with flames shortly thereafter, and that section of the house collapsed, the police report stated. At about 2:35 a.m., Roach phoned her other daughter in White River and told her about the fire. That daughter then called Wilson's boyfriend and told him about the fire at Wilson's house and that 3 of the children had died. Fire units from the Ochias and the Sentence Bay fire stations responded to the call and to put out the blaze. The bodies of the 3 children were seen on a bed cuddled together. It appeared that they were asleep when the fire occurred. Speaking with reporters, the father of the 4 children, Odane Mattis, said he was at home when he was called and told about the fire, but it was too late for him to do anything to help. He said he had previously urged their mother to leave them with him when she was going out. She left me in a discreet and up your sign, but just come from work, he said. Normally when she go out, me tell her, when you go about your business, make me youth them come down on my yard and spend the night till I come back, Mattis told reporters. She left me in a discreet and said nothing to me. Me fright me ears say me youth them burn up and dead in a fire. Only one of them couldn't stay out of 4 pitney. He said the children were with him last week and he took them back to their mother on Friday. PM pledges to deliver electricity to such vulnerable households. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has expressed sorrow and outrage at the deaths of 3 children, all siblings, in a house fire in St. Anne on Sunday morning. The Jamaica Fire Brigade is investigating the cause of the fire, which started around 2 a.m. However, Commissioner Stuart Beckford had indicated that the grandmother reported that the house had no electricity and was being lit by lamps. The Prime Minister, in his immediate response to the tragedy, lamented the frequency of deadly house fires that have occurred in recent weeks and again pledged that the government is working to bring legal electricity to all households.
Once again, in the second time since the start of the year, the nation mourns a terrible tragedy that should never have occurred of children dying in house fires. It is absolutely heartbreaking to lose 3 innocent lives in such a preventable manner. Every Jamaican child deserves to grow up in a safe environment. And this incident brings into sharp focus the gaps in vigilance and responsible parenting we face as a nation. Now, while I understand the economic demands on parents, particularly single-parent households, there can be no excuse for leaving children unattended or with little or no supervision, particularly in cases which could not be considered an emergency. In light of this most recent tragedy, I strongly remind parents and guardians of their moral duty to their children and their legal responsibilities under the Child Care and Protection Act. As parents, we must do more to ensure our children are cared for and protected at all times. Late last year, I spoke on the matter of house fires due to open flame lighting resulting in the death of children. Now, while this most recent event is not attributed to open flames, the government is committed to addressing energy poverty and ensuring that all Jamaicans have access to safe, regularized, and affordable electricity to meet their basic living needs. The Ministry of Science, Energy, Technology, and Transport is far advanced in developing the Solar Access Program for energy uncertain households in Jamaica.
Booted Kingston Central caretaker outlines promises made by PNP on social media. Former People's National Party PNP caretaker for Kingston Central Lawrence Rowe has suggested that he was forced out of the position amid a breakdown in negotiations involving millions of dollars and a promise in the position of the party's hierarchy. Sources have revealed that retired crime fighter senior superintendent Steve McGregor is to be announced as the party's new prospective candidate later this week for the general election due by September. McGregor served as commanding officer for the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Kingston Central Division between 2010 and 2012 under former Police Commissioner Owen Ellington. PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell, in a media release on Saturday, announced that Rowe had been withdrawn as the party's candidate. Campbell said the party's leadership had been meeting with Rowe and the constituency executive of Kingston Central during what he called a period of transition to emphasize that the constituency's interests are paramount. A week ago, Rowe was contacted amid reports that he had been voted as the candidate and that McGregor was his replacement. My understanding is that I'm still the candidate. I don't think that is the case, Rowe said then. However, in a turn of events on Sunday, Rowe outlined in a Facebook post what he described as a chronology of events between December 6, 2024 and January 11, which include alleged negotiations that ended with his removal. Rowe said the constituency under his stewardship received a passing grade following an assessment by former PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson. Rowe said that on December 20, Campbell contacted him via WhatsApp, requesting a list of detractors within the constituency. He said the list was provided. 2 days later, he said he wrote to Campbell expressing concerns about the sincerity of the party's management within Kingston and St. Andrew in relation to regaining the seat lost to the Jamaica Labour Party in the September 2020 general election. I also inquired whether resources were being deliberately withheld to frustrate my efforts. The General Secretary refused these allegations, said Rowe. He said he was invited to and attended a meeting on December 27, which included PNP Chairman Dr. Angela Brownberg and the Deputy General Secretary, Winsred Skeffrey. He said he was informed during the meeting that he was being removed as the candidate and in response tendered his resignation a day later from the Deputy Shadow Cabinet. I met with the General Secretary, who attempted to negotiate my transition. He offered me the role of Deputy Education Shadow Minister and $15 million. I declined and counter-proposed an appointment to a housing agency, a Senate position, and the $15 million. He promised to discuss this proposal with the party leader, said Rowe. He said on December 30, it was told by Campbell that PNP President Mark Golding had committed to one of the 13 Senate appointments, board membership at a housing agency, and $15 million in resources. He also explained that the party was experiencing a cash flow crisis. He requested a withdrawal letter, but I informed him I must first report to my executive on January 2, 2025. He said, adding that Campbell again unsuccessfully requested a withdrawal letter. He said a meeting was held on January 4 with Golding, Campbell, and the PNP Senator Peter Bunting to discuss the matter, and an agreement was reached for a reconsideration. Rose said on January 8, Campbell and Brownberg convened a meeting with the constituency executive, informing of the party's decision to remove him as candidate. During the meeting, I reminded the General Secretary that veto powers are vested in the party leader and that I was awaiting his decision following further soundings. He said on January 10, Golding officially informed him of his decision to withdraw his candidacy. The General Secretary issued a public release confirming my removal as a candidate, said Rowe. Stay tuned as we learn about Jamaica Association for the Deaf and its role in our schools.
At the Jamaica Association for the Deaf, one of the things that's very critical to us is education of our children. We are an 80-year-old organization now, and we manage 7 schools and units across 4 parishes. So we have the Lister Gilby High School for the Deaf in Papine and the Danny Williams Primary School for the Deaf in Papine. We also have the JD Preschool, which is where our little ones, we would love for them to start. That's where the language acquisition can be very strong because it is preschool and the child is like a sponge. Attached to our Danny Williams Primary School is a unit at the Excelsior Primary School, which is our EXED unit. Attached to the Lister McGilby High School is a unit in Port Antonio, or Port Antonio unit, and a unit in Maypen in Woodside. And then we have St. Christopher School for the Deaf, or boarding facility at a primary level. As JAD schools, we have been running a project with the support of the USAID, and we've acknowledged that across the system we currently have approximately 400 students in school. So we're looking at 400 students currently in school, but some estimates have now given reason to believe that we should have at least 1,000 students across the island with hearing loss, significant enough for them to need either special education placement in a school for the deaf or special education placement in a mainstream school with special accommodations. Now, those special accommodations can be a hearing aid, and under our business division we do have a hearing assessment center, which is how we find the children to place in school. We acknowledge that there are some kids who will not need deaf education placement, but they may need to be in a smaller classroom size. And the way our education system is structured, you on average have a classroom size at the primary level with 44 students. Now, if you're a student who has hearing loss and uses a hearing aid, and you're in a classroom where there are 44 students, 1 teacher, and a blackboard dividing the room, 9 out of 10 you're not catching much in the classroom. And so the impact that has on the students is that it means that for a number of years, they are performing either at bare minimum or below bare minimum. And unfortunately, they may be just passed through the system. Schools may express to the parents, I'm sorry, we can't keep the child any longer because we recognize that there's a challenge and we recommend you do assessment. If the parent is afraid to do the assessment, they remove the child, move them to another school, and for the sake of ensuring that the schools have their numbers, the school may accept the student without even really questioning what happened at the previous school, why were you moving. So we, knowing that our school population is low, we're working to get more persons to be more aware of the fact that we do have schools for the deaf, that we do appreciate that maybe the student just needs a hearing aid, just needs preferential treatment in the classroom with a preferred seat, with more one-on-one attention, with a smaller classroom size. But our goal is ensuring that whatever the hearing loss, the child can be supported. The child can be given the education that they deserve, because we are firm believers that every child can learn and every child must learn. We are grant aided by the Ministry of Education to manage our schools, which means that our school fees and the costs aligned to sending a child to a school for the deaf is not significantly exorbitant. Most people, when they think of special education placement, they think of a private institution, and so the assumption is that it's going to be extremely expensive. For us, because we're granted by the Ministry of Education, we do teach the national standard curriculum. Our students throughout the education system, they do the same assessments that mainstream students do, and they are supported with teachers who have signing skill, as well as what we call deaf culture facilitators, who are teachers' aides, deaf adults who have strong signing capacity and are able to kind of help. So in the space where our concept is unclear, it's a tag team of teacher and DCF that help to support the student to ensure that they learn. And it's bilingual. So we're teaching English as a written language and sign language as an expressive and conversational language. We are also running a Jamaican Sign Language grammar curriculum. In the same way that as hearing persons, we learn English, because it's not assumed that you have a strong foundation in English. We are also teaching our students sign language to ensure that there is a continuance of the standardization of the language, and to also ensure that they have a strong foundation language to run on. Majority of our students are coming from hearing families, and so it's impractical to assume that a student coming into our school is going to have sign language already, which is why early identification and early intervention is important, because it means that a child coming into preschool is going to be learning sign language and English at the same pace that a student in a mainstream school is increasing their language capacity in English. Because education is our core focus, one of the things that's very critical for us is ensuring that we not only have children in school, but that we're adequately supporting them once we get them into school.
Learn how to become a certified drone pilot at the National Land Agency.
We have built out a host of drones, a fleet of drones that we use to manage our land resource, and they include small drones like the DJI Mavic 2 that I have, and also the larger drones like the DJI Matrix 350.
The National Land Agency, NLA, utilizes drones to effectively manage land resources through inspections. For smaller properties, the NLA employs smaller drones. In contrast, for larger properties, the agency opts for larger drones that can cover more ground and conduct longer flights to map extensive areas. The NLA integrates drone technology across several departments. It uses drones for land valuation, inspections, and deratings. Additionally, the drones assist in property mapping, cadastral surveys, and topographic surveys. The agency's estate management division also benefits from this technology, as it aids in managing various properties and land leases.
We've also incorporated the technology in hydrographic surveys. So we're mapping many of our piers, many of our nearshore harbors, and we're using the drone technology to assist the hydrographers as well in their work. Additionally, we have implemented a drone pilot training course where individuals can come and they can be trained as drone pilots. That's a tremendous course. It actually has taken off very well. It's a 3-week course and it's a premium course. So we do advise that persons can come and become a part of that course, and when they leave, they'll be certified drone pilots. Our HR department, they have a form that can be filled, so once someone has an interest, they can give us a call, and we can actually give them the information as to how to sign up for that course. Currently, the cost of this course is 150,000 Jamaican dollars. We have kept that cost for the last 3 years, and this is a premium course. It's worth much more than that. When an individual comes into this course, they will learn the theory behind drone technology. They will learn how to do drone maneuvers so that they can be safe while flying. They will learn all the rudiments of the drone and how it works. They'll also learn the legal requirements. So they'll learn how to apply for a permit to fly. They'll learn how to operate within the airspace, which most persons who are flying drones do not understand that there are laws, regulations, do's and don'ts. So it's a very packed course, and the persons will leave as a...
JBN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.